trading on the platform since the election?
The day post-election, the Wednesday post-election, our business doubled. We saw 100% growth in Bitcoin purchases. Our customers are predominantly purchasing Bitcoin, and over 90% since election are actually taking the Bitcoin off the platform and holding it in their own custody. So we're not seeing active speculative trading on gambling on the short-term price. We're seeing long-term accumulation on our platform, and our customers are excited. We serve Bitcoiners, and Bitcoiners are excited right now.
Okay, so you're maybe supporting those that are focused purely on the ecosystem, but people are going elsewhere to trade, whether it's gambling or not. We now got options trading on the Bitcoin spot ETFs. What do you think of that? What do you make of this transition from, well, DeFi and crypto into more traditional finance?
Well, the last time I was on this show, I told you and Ed, which, Ed, congrats, by the way, I'm thinking of you. I told you guys I thought Bitcoin was the only money in crypto. I wasn't sold on any of the other cryptocurrencies, and that my business, we're predicated on Bitcoin as money, and we sell our customers financial services. So if you're a customer of mine, you want Bitcoin financial services, you want to buy it, you want to store it, you want to move it, you want to pay your bills with it, you maybe want a loan against it. These are the type of products that we want to serve our customers in the future. We do not think of ourselves as a speculative exchange, so that's my customer base. Options, ETFs, MSTR, all of these things are pro-liquidity for Bitcoin. What you want in a money or a store of value is you want it to be sellable. You want it to be liquid at any point, 24/7, 365, globally. You want to be able to sell it. And so all of this is pro-liquidity, which enhances the profile for Bitcoin to be a better asset for a government, a corporation, an individual. So everything is bullish for Bitcoin. That's what I always say. So another day, more bullish activity for the asset.
Okay.
I think the unique positioning on the Bitcoin Strategic Reserve, I think if this happens, this will be one of the most important economic announcements in U.S. history. I think it'd be on par with 1971 and Nixon. However, what I think is not being talked about enough is it's positive. In 1933, the U.S. had a really big economic announcement. What was it? We're taking all your gold. In 1971, the U.S. had a really big economic announcement. What was it? We're divorcing ourselves from the gold standard so we can print money. In 2008, the U.S. had a really big economic announcement. What was it? It was we're bailing out all the big banks that misbehaved. In 2025, if the U.S. has a really big economic announcement, what is it? It's we're pro-technology, we're pro-innovation. What principles and morals and ethical alignment does Bitcoin have? Equal rights, equal opportunity, an open network. These are American ideals, American values. This is an asset that was accessible to the people 15 years ago that the people own. Governments only own 2, 3, 4% of this asset. This asset is held by the people. It acts in the best interest of the public. It's pro-jobs, it's pro-energy, it's pro-industry, it's pro-growth. And does anyone else have a plan to get us out of debt? Are we going to start a lemonade stand out here in Times Square? No, how about the best performing asset in the history of mankind? We lean into it, we buy it. Coinbase is an American company, Strike's an American company, Kraken's an American company, Tether sells the US dollar. Let's support these businesses, let's support this industry. Over the last 15 years, the best thing you could have done is buy Bitcoin. And I think that's going to be true for the next 1,500 years. And so as a country, I think we have a choice. I think everyone else around the world is understanding we are pro-growth, pro-business, pro-Bitcoin as this new administration takes office. And we have to make a decision. I think the worst thing we can do is not own enough. And actually, to de-risk this, we should buy some and push these American ideals in technology and innovation and growth through the best performing asset and technology in mankind.
Happy Bitcoin Tuesday, freaks. It's your host, Odell, here for another Citadel Dispatch, the interactive live show focused on actual Bitcoin and freedom tech discussion. That intro was our boy, Jack Mallers on Bloomberg, absolutely crushing it. I still think that stat to me is amazing, that 90% of funds on Strike are withdrawn to self-custody. Absolutely love to see it. Not your keys, not your coin. We have a great chat lined up today. We have Miljan here from Primal. How's it going, Miljan?
Going well. Good to see you, Matt. Good to be back. Good to see our boy Jack crushing it on Normie TV as usual.
Yeah, I think this is the cycle where we just constantly have our friends on mainstream news networks. They're all Bitcoin podcasts. During bull runs, they're always turned into Bitcoin podcasts, but this time even more so. I don't know why the live chat is only showing zaps, but I see your live chat, freaks.
The only way to communicate with us is to throw like massive zaps out there.
It was kind of accidental, but if you want your message to show on screen now, you have to use a zap. So I'm just going to actually leave that. We're going to be talking about Nostr today, so I feel like it's even more fitting that we have a zap only live chat. Nostr, I mean, you guys have heard plenty about it. Miljan here is the founder and CEO of Primal. They're a tiny ass team that's building one of the most popular Nostr clients. I mean, I'll start it off with the disclosure that my fund 1031 is the largest investor in Primal, proudly so. I do not recommend Primal because we're an investor. We're an investor because it's such a good product. Like it's an awesome app. It's an awesome team, and they're really trying to onboard, the next 1 billion people into Nostr. So I've had Miljan on the show a couple times, I think, already. But the reason we're here today is because Primal 2.0 launched. So why don't we just start with that? What is Primal 2.0, and why should we be excited about it?
Yeah, thanks for having me back. We shipped Primal 2.0 a few days ago, Thursday last week. And we're all still catching up on sleep from that. I saw your announcement of it on RHR on Friday, and you did a great job there, by the way. That's a great summary of Primal 2.0. My wife heard it, and she was so impressed by it. She thought I was important.
Oh, there we go.
After listening to that, so that's good. Thanks for that. So it's a pretty big release. It was a long time coming. I heard you say, hey, these guys have been working on it for 3 months or so. And I was like, no, man, it's been 3 months that I've been telling you it's imminent. It's been like 3 months that I've been telling you it's 2 weeks.
Fair enough.
But yeah, it's probably more like 8 months. And in retrospect, probably a little bit too long. We're going to try to make the upcoming releases a little bit more incremental, because the 2.0 was basically maybe 3 or 4 releases roll into one. So we shipped reads support, so long support for long form content on Nostr, kind of as a major tab. So it's a top level item, and that alone probably should have been a release in itself.
Right.
And if we had done it that way, we would have shipped that feature a few months ago.
Right. I've been using it for a while now.
Yeah, exactly. So we kind of rolled a number of things into one massive release.
And why was that?
They were kind of related, the features that we were looking at. And of course, it was possible to break them out and ship them separately. But the next big release feature as a part of the 2.0 release is the whole feed marketplace and restructuring of the app to support basically infinite feeds. All right. So in Primal 2.0, we re-architected all of our apps, so iOS, Android, and web, in a way that the Home tab and the Reads tab have the ability to host infinite number of feeds. And from there, but when you go to manage your feeds, you get to browse the feed marketplace and kind of add and remove feeds like that and reorder them, and you can set any custom feed to be your default feed and so forth. So it felt important to have this capability as a part of the Reads launch. It wasn't essential, but they kind of went well together. And then we were like, okay, since we're doing the whole feed marketplace thing, we wanted to make it easy for people to build their own feeds. So we really leaned into advanced search, which in itself probably should have been a release. So that's a major feature. It kind of like things got out of hand, and we kind of we packed it all into one massive release. And then of course on top of it all was Primal Premium, which we launched as a part of 2.0.
Yeah, so you kind of, I mean, to be fair, I was right there with you during. I mean, you guys did the work. I was just providing feedback. But I supported the decision to bundle it all together because that makes sense. But you also kind of end up in this situation where there's so much new shit now that each one is massive in its own right. And I feel like then it becomes a little bit harder. And that's fine, whatever. It's going to take users a little bit to realize what kind of powerful new features they have available to them. And that, I mean, Nostr is still incredibly young and incredibly early. So I guess that's fine. But like, so it also creates some issues with this show because I don't know where to start. I think and I just want to be clear, the one feature I really wanted him to bundle into Primal 2.0, which he hasn't yet, is integrated Zap stream. So when will we get that? Will we get that in like 2 weeks? Can people just view this stream live in Primal in 2 weeks?
Man, we ship such a massive release with so many features, and your first question is when? Something new?
Sorry, that's my job. I just have to keep pushing you from the sidelines. Okay, I think we should start with. I actually think the search. I think the search is a killer feature. Let's talk about the search a little bit. What ability have we given users in terms of search?
So yeah, as a part of this 2.0 overhaul, we kind of re-implemented big parts of our stack, including the indexing service. So completely new technology stack on the back end when it comes to the indexer for Nostr. And I believe we're still, and somebody should correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe Primal is still the only open source indexer for Nostr. So hope that we'll get more indexers to join the party there. But yeah, we re-implemented it in a way that made it way more powerful, way more kind of granular in terms of the types of things you could specify there to be searched. So maybe I'll talk about search at the high level first in the new Primal apps. We have this kind of I'll stay humble. Definitely is a good advice there. So
always good
searching.
Advice.
Yeah, always good advice for sure. Search at the high level at Primal. We have this kind of simple contextual search in any section that you're currently in. So basically, if you're in Home tab, if you just tap on that search icon in the top right corner in the mobile app and type a quick search, it will search notes.
Right.
If you're in the Reads tab, it will search Reads. If you're in the Notifications tab, it will actually search Notifications. So this is kind of like a quick and easy way to get contextual search anywhere within the app. Oh, by the way, if you're on somebody's profile screen, there's a search icon there, and you can tap on that. It will search content posted by that user. So that kind of quick contextual search works as you'd expect. But then when you open that search screen, the search icon gets replaced by kind of the settings icon. And if you tap it again, you get the advanced search screen, which is like way more elaborate and powerful. So
the regular search is like, I just want to like look up a user. I want to go to like Jack's profile or something. I would just quickly type in Jack. And then the advanced search is where the magic happens.
Exactly. So the regular search is you can look a profile up or do a simple kind of keyword search. But then if you want advanced search, you basically tap on that same location twice. You go top right corner, tap, and then all of a sudden you have the advanced search UI. And there you can specify all kinds of things. You can specify first of all, the content type that you wish searched. So you can say, search for videos or images or notes or long form reads and things like that. So you can specify that. You can specify the list of users that should be considered who have posted this particular content. So it's like posted by, essentially. But you're not limited to one person. You can go and like add a number of profiles there. So you can kind of keep typing and
Yeah, it's
adding.
awesome. You can just keep adding people.
Yeah, exactly. And then, so that's the posted by. And then you have replied by. So if you want to just search replies, you can say, okay, give me notes by Miljan, that were replied to by Odell, for example.
That's
so
insane.
you can find that kind of stuff. Or either one of those could be a list, right? So you can really, make it much more interesting than that. And then zapped by as well is another kind of field where you can set the list of people that have zapped. And think about how interesting of a feed you might get if you, say, give me all the posts or notes zapped by Jack and NVK, for example.
Yeah,
that's right there. I didn't want to say Odell because you zap a lot, so
it won't narrow it down enough.
Right. You're one of the most prolific zappers out there. And then you can get...
Yeah, go on.
Go ahead.
No, I mean, there's also like in how we can we'll get to that later, but in the Explore tab, there's like a zap feed, a live zap feed, which I absolutely love. But we're talking about search. We're talking about search.
Yeah.
I mean, I think people don't realize with search, like one of the killer features of X and of Twitter before it is the search. Like the search is incredibly powerful on X. Before I left X, one of the things I loved doing was I would just retweet old, like 5-year-old posts, 6-year-old posts, and people are like, "How does he remember that post or whatever?" It's like, no, I was good at using their search, but this search is infinitely more powerful than what is built into X right now. Presumably, what is built into Facebook or TikTok. I don't know. I haven't used those, and I've never used TikTok, but I haven't used Facebook in over a decade. LinkedIn, right? The search is key. It's key for discovery, and it's key to be able to interact with a global communication protocol.
Yeah, I think we legit have the most powerful search of any social media now.
That's
which
amazing.
is crazy. So remember that narrative that Nostr has a discovery problem, and who's going to run the indexers and stuff like that. Turns out the same people who build the roads. So yeah, we implemented this indexer. We're running our own indexing service, and anyone can use our code to stand up their own indexing service and tweak it the way they wish to tweak it. And we're going to have many indexers. We already have many indexers running out there. But yeah, it's just
Primal's indexer specifically is open source, so anyone can run one if they want to.
Exactly, and it should be fairly easy to run. So awesome. Yeah, so going down the list of features there, you can also specify the scope for your search. So it could be, by default, it's global, but you can say, no, just search through my follows, or just search through my network, or just search through my network interactions, or my follows interactions, meaning that's kind of the slice of the networks. Search through all the Nostr events that people I follow interacted with. So liked, zapped, replied, reposted, any sort of reaction to it. So that's like crazy. It's a very interesting slice of the network, because it's not precisely the content posted by your follows, right, but it's content. It's wider than that. It's content that your follows found interesting enough to engage with. So that produces some interesting results there. And then you can set a whole bunch of filters on the search and all of that. So you can say minimum number of zaps or the content score, all kinds of things. So any combination of the parameters that I've just outlined above is possible and quite easy to do within any of our apps. And then you do your search. And if you think this particular search is useful, you can save that search and it gets saved into your home feeds or reads feeds if you're searching through reads, and it becomes available to you to go to later on at any time.
Yeah, now you have now that search becomes like a feed itself, and so you can just toggle it on the top, which is awesome, incredibly powerful. Yeah, I want to. You said, but we've heard this refrain constantly, like Nostr has a discovery problem. Like, I think this makes it apparent to the deniers now that Nostr is the discovery solution. Like, Nostr is how you will be able to discover new content, important discussion, anything you want on the internet going forward. And, you know, the status quo up until this point has been just a bunch of solid wall gardens. Like, I have no idea what the hell's going on TikTok. I have no idea what's going on Instagram. I have some idea of what's going on X because I get a lot of DMs about X. But Nostr has this open protocol that is searchable. And once you provide powerful tools to users, really the sky's the limit. Okay, search. We nailed down search. I want to go next to, by the way, shout out Mav21, highest zap in our live chat. Our live chat is at citadeldispatch.com/stream with 10,000 sats. There's a lot of questions rolling in, so I'm going to use one of the questions to go to the next topic, which is Ivan is asking how I got the little gold halo around my profile picture, which is a Primal Premium feature. So let's talk about Primal Premium next.
Okay, so with the 2.0 release, we shipped like a paid tier of Primal Premium, where for $7 a month, you can get the Primal name and a bunch of Nostr tools.
So like primal.net/Odell is the Primal name, or Odell@primal.net for the Lightning address.
Exactly. So the Primal name gives you three things itself. So it gives you a verified Nostr address if you want to use it. It gives you a friendly Lightning address for our kind of built-in custodial Lightning wallet. And it gives you that VIP profile that you can kind of easily link to your profile by giving out a primal.net/Odell. So right. That name can get used in any of those scenarios, and you're not required to use the verified Nostr address by Primal. You just have that option. Same goes with the Lightning address.
Right.
So that's Primal name. And then Nostr tools, we just thought about the types of things that would be useful to Nostr users, that Nostr users might find valuable enough to pay a monthly fee for. So this currently in the first release includes things like increased media storage. So you can you get 10 gigabytes of storage instead of 1 gigabyte, which you get with the free tier. You can post.
So that's if you're uploading videos or photos or whatnot. Right,
exactly. And you get a very nice UI for kind of managing all the media you've uploaded. I'm quite happy with that part of the app. Then we give you some Nostr account backup features. So, for example, we back up the contact list, like the history of your contact list over time, so that if a client, let's say, wipes your contact list, and I think it happened to almost everyone. It happened to me many times. Sometimes it was my own client doing that. So Nostr is not immune to that. It's nice to be able to go back and see like the history of your contact list. It will tell you, like on November 25th, you had 655 contacts, but on November 26th, you now have one.
But specifically, this is who you follow, not who follows you.
That's
The
right.
way Nostr works is you can only control who you follow. That's what you're updating and saving.
Right. Yes. So that's called a contact list. It's your follow list. It's the list of accounts you follow. So we made this utility essentially that's a part of Primal Premium that makes it very easy to go through the history of your follow lists and kind of restore the one you think is best. And so it's like 2 clicks away for you to do. We also fully back up your Nostr content. So all of the Nostr events that you publish as a premium user, we keep a backup of all that content. So this includes notes, reactions, articles, anything that you publish on Nostr. And we provide the UI for that in the premium tier where you can kind of see the categorized kind of list of different content that you have, along with the number of events that you have in each category. And you have the ability to rebroadcast any of those categories, or you can rebroadcast all of the events. And we will rebroadcast to your list of specified relays that you have in your contacts, in your kind of account settings. So let's say you wanted to keep your own backup of your content. You can just add let's say you want to stand up a relay, and you can add that relay to your relay list as a write relay and push rebroadcast, and it will rebroadcast the entire history. It will copy the history of all the events that you've
So awesome.
published to your relay, along with all the other relays that are in your list. In the web app, we'll let you actually download all your events as well. So it's kind of, that was one of the open questions.
A local backup.
Exactly. So that was one of the open questions in Nostr, over the years, where relays don't typically have SLAs. There are some premium relays out there that they might, but typically, people create accounts, they set their kind of relays, and then they publish content, and there's no guarantee that any relay will hold any of your content for any amount of time. There's some big relays like the Damos relay, where Will makes a point of wiping the relay every once in a while, because the point being, don't rely on me keeping all your stuff forever.
Right.
That's not what we have committed to doing. And also, Nostr should not be affected with these occasions where a massive relay wipes all their content. So he wanted to put that theory to a test a couple times, I think, and he did, and everything worked as expected. So Nostr continued to function even though the Damos relay was wiped fully. So that was good.
I didn't notice any notes missing or anything.
Yeah. So that was a good test for the network, and that was great. But as a user, you may want to get a certain level of assurance that your content will be kept by some of the relays that you post to. So now with Primal, that's what we do for our premium users. We strive to kind of keep the content, like all the content that we index, but we can't, of course, make guarantees for the entire network. It's crazy to be able to do that. But we can make those guarantees for our premium users. Obviously, that's a much, much smaller part of the network, and for them, they get this service as a part of Primal Premium.
And then UX-wise, it's great. It's like literally just a single rebroadcast button. You just click that button and boom, rebroadcast.
Yeah. And in the web app, next to that rebroadcast button, there's also a download button. So
Hazard's asking, what format is the download going to be in? Do you know yet?
It's JSON. Yeah, you can already try it. It's just like zipped JSON, essentially.
Got it.
So if you go to if you have Primal Premium and you use our web app now, there is the Manage Premium section, and one of the tabs there is content backup. So you can download that content and check it out.
Marcelo's asking, if you miss 1 month payment in premium, do you lose your Nostr address and friendly Lightning address?
No. So there is a 30-day grace period after kind of your subscription expires, during which all these things will continue to be assigned to you. But after that, your name gets released and it becomes available for others to register. That's how the system works currently.
Great. And I feel compelled to mention here, since I was so outspoken against the blue check, why I think this is fundamentally different than Elon's blue check system on X, is two main reasons. First of all, my issue, and I've been very consistent on this. My issue is not the payment. I think actually more services should go to a pay model, because then users are actual customers. They're your users. They're not the product that you're just trying to milk for surveillance ad revenue. So I like people paying for a product. The issue with the blue check is that it has identity verification built in a very quiet way, which is through phone number verification. And I expect him to actually increase that verification requirements rather than decrease them. Maybe I'll be proven wrong. With Primal Premium, you can pay with Bitcoin. You don't have a billing address attached. You don't have a credit card attached, right? On Blue Check, you have a phone number and a credit card attached. Neither of those are required for Primal Premium. And then the second piece is, it's kind of like what you see in a lot of the shitty mobile games now, which is a pay-to-win model in Blue Check land, which is if you pay and get verified, you will get better engagement and better reach on the platform, while Primal fundamentally does not change how people are viewing feeds and whatnot based on paid status. So any user that's using Amethyst, that's not a Primal Premium user or whatever, has the same quote unquote reach as someone who is a Primal Premium user. So I think those things make it fundamentally different. Once again, I challenge Elon to make those changes on X. I don't think he will. And instead of complaining about it, I wanted to be part of the future that we could build that is better. And that's why I'm here. So with all that said, then there's another tier above this called Primal Legends. What is Primal Legends?
If you don't mind, I'll just back up a little bit and kind of echo what you're saying there. Okay. I think it's really important to get our own interests, by saying our, I mean Primal's interests aligned with those of our users. We've had questions, over the past however many months since we launched Primal, regarding how Primal was going to monetize and whether we're like tracking user data and whether we're trying to monetize user data. And even though we spelled out quite clearly in our terms of service and privacy policy that we don't monetize user data, it's kind of nice to kind of launch this paid tier where it becomes very clear what our interests are. So our users are our customers, like you said, and we get compensated when users find Primal products and services valuable enough that they are willing to pay for them. Therefore, we're incentivized to wake up every morning and make the product better for our users, who are our customers. So this kind of alignment of incentives, I think, is equally important as many other aspects of Nostr that we talk about a lot more usually, like censorship resistance and all these things. So user sovereignty, we covered that quite a bit, and of course they're important, but coming up with ethical monetization business models is extremely important on Nostr, and I'm glad to see that there are other services out there that are essentially looking to monetize in the same way. I haven't seen any, I think, advertising-based businesses. I'm sure there will be some eventually, but what's interesting is that they'll be competing against Primal and others who are not monetizing through advertising. We're monetizing through best possible UX for our users. So
Love it.
Let's see what happens. I'm kind of excited.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely going to be advertising models bolted on top of Nostr from other players. But it'll be a beautiful free market, and users will have options and be able to choose which path they want to go down. Okay, so can we talk about Primal Legends? What is Primal Legends?
Let's do it. So Primal Legends is like a higher tier than Primal Premium. And it wasn't my idea, really. I spent some time with Gigi a couple of months ago, and he was adamant about this idea that there's the kind of the concept there. Basically, the argument he was making was that there are people on Nostr who are willing to pay way more than $7 a month in order to support the project, and that we should let them. And not only should we let them, but we should recognize them in some kind of way. I'm glad that he convinced me to do this, because that's turning out to be the case. Nostr is a very, very special community. It's a very special user base to build for and kind of launch products for. Nostr users, yes, we're not massive in numbers yet. Probably we're looking maybe a couple 100,000 people who are active on Nostr. But this initial cohort of Nostr users that we have currently are extremely passionate, extremely mission driven. Our users are as mission driven as we, the developers, are, I would say. And it's very interesting to build for this community, because like you get extremely competent, intelligent, high conviction people as your customers. And in many cases, they are quite technically savvy. So the feedback we get is very precise many times when it comes to kind of identifying the problems and kind of making the product better. And, many of them are not like developers themselves, and they're looking at ways to contribute to kind of growing Nostr and making Nostr better. And we already, in just a few days that we've had this available, we've had more than I would expect. People kind of find this feature, which is not kind of super visible in the user interface. You kind of have to buy premium, and then there's like a link somewhere saying, hey, are you enjoying Primal? Find out how you can support us further. And then you click through that, and then you find this kind of legend purchase option and go from there. So there's a number of our users who have found this and went ahead and bought the legend tier just so they can support us. And the name legend was a little bit of a tongue-in-cheek kind of positioning. But now I'm like, after having interacted with some of these users, I think the label is appropriate. Like going back and forth. No, I'm serious, man. They really are legends. They're like, no, I know exactly what I'm doing. Yes, I'm overpaying for like 10 years of Primal Premium, but like I'm making a bet in you and your team that you guys are going to continue building this, and I'm willing to do this. A few times I've heard from them like, I'm not a developer, but this is how I'm going to help Nostr adoption to products and so forth. So that's what Primal Legends are. And when it comes to the halo that you mentioned, that's the idea that Gigi was advising us to do, where we should somehow recognize these contributors to, like, significant contributors to Primal, and give them the ability to further customize their profile, and which is optional, by the way. If you want to not stand out, that's the default, right? You can be a part of the legend tier and not stand out publicly. But then if you want to customize it, there's a pretty easy way to do so. So by becoming a legend, you get a never expiring subscription. So you get a forever subscription.
Lifetime
Exactly.
subscription.
And you get more media storage and this profile customization options. And this has been, we've received quite a bit of good feedback about this already, so that now we know this is a thing and we're going to lean into it way harder. And we're already working on making like expanding the profile customization capabilities, not just for legends but also for premium users. So we're going to make this awesome in the next update.
Love it. Legendary. On the media piece, by the way, just we're about to leave the premium section of the show, but on the media piece, like, to be clear, like, once you're a premium subscriber, you don't have to be a legend subscriber. You can scroll through all of your media and you can copy the links of the old media, or you can delete media that you've already uploaded, which is just a very clean UX. I do have a question for you, and I guess I could have asked this offline, and maybe I did ask you already. Does it strip metadata when you upload a photo or video?
Yeah.
Okay.
So Primal media servers strip metadata when you upload there.
That's important, freaks, because if you're just uploading media onto Nostr and metadata isn't being stripped, it can have like location information, like what device you took the photo with. I'm a crazy person, so regardless, I've just always stripped my data personally. But yeah, that's a good practice. Okay. Are you good with us moving on from premium now?
Sure.
Okay, let's go to reads. What is reads?
So reads is a brand new section on Primal, which covers long form content on Nostr, long form textual content. So it's the type of content that people have usually used applications like Highlighter or Habla News or Yakihoni, or I think there was like a blog stack. There are multiple Nostr clients that specialize in long form content. So essentially, these
are Substack or Medium, but with Nostr.
Exactly. So I was just going to say these are like Substack and Medium competitors. Why I think this type of content is extremely important on Nostr is that it allows us to add nuance into the public discourse. I think Nostr has the best foundation to become the global town square. The microblogging type of features are already there, and the open network, and every event getting signed, that you get this sort of authenticity as a part of it, is exactly the type of foundation that's needed for a protocol to become a global town square. But what makes it even more powerful is when you can meaningfully integrate long form content into these types of user experiences, where there's only so much context, and there's only so much information you can pack in a microblogging note. More nuanced discussions require long form content. So at Primal, we wanted to make long form content the first class citizen within the application. So like I said, it gets its own tab. But also, we wanted to cover all of the interactions in a way that they can surface into your kind of social media microblogging feeds as appropriate, so that your social media feeds become a discovery mechanism for long form content. So for example, if you go through a long form content feed and you select an article, you can highlight any section of the article in Primal. That creates a Nostr highlight event that's visible in any Nostr client that supports highlight events. But then you can select that highlight and say quote, and post a note with a comment, and that will appear in your microblogging feed as a short note with a quoted highlight and a link to the long form article. So it will be very clear to the users of your, the viewers of your short form note what it is that you did there. So you highlighted a part of the article, you had your own comment there, and you linked to the article itself. So I think in the last few days since we launched Primal 2.0 with Reed's integration, I don't know if you would agree, Matt, but it feels like the long form content is getting a lot more views and
100%.
a lot more interaction.
No one wants to leave the app, right? You want it all integrated, and then also just the discovery of micro, quote unquote, micro blogging, like tweet style feeds is key, right? Like, I mean, and you see that, like, even when users don't have the tools, they tend to go that route where they'll send out a post that's like, check out this article with a link, right? And to have it actually nicely integrated into the UX where it's first class citizen. I mean, I don't write long form really. I just do podcasts and shit post. But I do like consuming it and reading it and participating in it. And that's a key element of the discovery. You want it as part of this. And this is what I think people don't realize, where they say like Nostr is so much more than a Twitter competitor, or I like Nostr the protocol, but I don't like Nostr the social aspect. And it's all important together. Like we're building the network via short shit posts. But it all needs to be connected together. Otherwise, you don't have something that's actually useful to users.
100%.
Yeah, I mean, I think the Reads is pretty awesome, and I love that it's got like a dedicated feed system in the app, so you can basically like move into your Substack world, or move back into your X world, which I think is very clever. I actually realized. And I know, freaks, if you've been listening for a while, this is how I function. I move back and forth a lot. On the premium section, there's two things that I wanted to cover that we didn't cover. First of all, if you're a premium user, you have a special relay that you have access to, right? The premium relay, which is once again like who will run the relays, right? Well, it's like if you're a paying user, you have this nice premium relay that only premium users can write to, but anyone can read from. So it doesn't matter. You could be a non-premium user using Damus or Amethyst or Coracle, and you can still pull from the premium relay, but only premium users are posting to it. And then the second piece is there's some. Let's just talk about for a second why if someone's using iOS, why can't they pay for premium with sats in the app?
Well, it's the old App Store rules. Yeah. Once you're trying to monetize something within the app, Apple and Google want their cut. It's as simple as that. So we do have those in-app purchases. In all honesty, they're quite convenient for the end user. You're literally in 2 taps, you become a premium subscriber. So that's nice. And then you get like. People manage so many subscriptions, and you necessarily don't want the cognitive overhead of tracking different types of UIs to cancel the subscription and so forth. So both Apple and Google do a good job to provide users with that kind of UX. So this is the reason why if you're iOS or Android and you wish to subscribe to premium through the app, that's the only option.
Is Apple Pay or Google Pay?
Exactly. And then, of course, on our web app, you can pay us with sats directly. And we didn't say this, well, I'm hoping it's obvious. If you have a Primal premium subscription, it's active for you in all of our apps. So, for example, if you use our web app to buy Primal Premium, the moment you log into any of the mobile apps, your Primal Premium account will be active immediately. So there's nothing else for you to do.
And if somehow you've made it this far in this show and you don't know how to sign in on Primal Web, you need a browser extension. And I recommend the NoS2X extension, which is maintained by Fiat Jeff. So you install that extension, you put your private key in that extension, and then that's how you sign in via web, which is not immediately obvious. Like, we probably should do a better job with that.
I agree.
Forward.
That's one of the parts of the Primal stack that needs the most work. You sort of need to walk people through this completely non-intuitive concept that you need to install an extension to log in securely. We do provide a way to log into Primal without using an extension that's less secure, where you can kind of paste your NSEC and provide kind of like a PIN or any sort of code to encrypt that NSEC locally with. But using the extension is much more secure, and that's the recommended way.
I didn't even realize you offered that.
Yeah, we do.
Use the extension, freaks. No S2X.
Definitely.
Okay. Next, feed marketplace. What is the feed marketplace?
So feed marketplace is probably one of the most exciting features of Nostr, at least to me. It's not anything that we invented at Primal. The core tech behind the feed marketplace that we plugged into was invented by Pablo well over a year ago, using the DVM spec. The data vending machine spec is quite powerful. It can do all kinds of things, including creating custom feeds. So a few months after this invention, some people created some feeds, and they kind of created a spec for kind of publishing a special event, signaling to the network that now there's this feed that exists that people can plug into. And the feed itself just like gives the list of node addresses, the node IDs. That's it. And then it's up to clients to figure out what to do with those. And every client is capable of showing a list of nodes based on those IDs. So it's extremely lightweight and simple. And it was grassroots, like many great things on Nostr. You know, Pablo created the spec, then some devs were tinkering with it. People created a few feeds, and then a few clients integrated those this into their UI. And the clients were Coracle, which has very kind of capable custom feed features, and DVM feeds are just a subset of Coracle custom feeds. So I encourage people to check that out. It's quite wild what Hodlebod came up with there. So Coracle, Amethyst, Nostr, probably some other clients that I'm not even aware of, integrated this feed marketplace into their UIs. And then we from Primal observed this thing emerging organically on Nostr. And this is so magical, man. Like, it's like there's no central planning. There's no central coordination. So the people come up with stuff like Pablo, then developers either pick it up or don't. Some things get published. A few clients find it interesting and integrate it. And next thing you know, there's maybe critical mass. And at Primal, we just looked at this and we were like, yeah, this is exactly what we want to do. And then we leaned into it all the way from Primal. So we did three things to support this. The first thing is, like I already said, we re-architected our entire application shell to be able to support any number of feeds and easy reorganization of feed and setting the default feed and all that. Like, we wanted the app itself to be capable of being fully flexible when it comes to management of feeds. And as I mentioned, this pertains to the home tab as well as the reads tab. Then we exposed the feed marketplace user interface within the app when you go to kind of manage your feeds. Right there, you can kind of add a custom feed, and we give you the user the kind of user interface to browse the feeds that have been published. So you can tap into that, get the preview of the feed. If you like what you see, you can add it to your home feeds, let's say. and then it's there. You can reorganize, you can reorder, maybe set that as your main feed. So when you think about it, it's like the polar opposite of a walled garden here. So you can literally remove all Primal feeds if you don't like them. You can go to the feed marketplace, pick the feeds you like, and set any of them as your main feed, and that's your UX on Primal. It has nothing to do with what Primal is serving out in terms of feeds. That's like not only possible, but it's super easy to do. And then the third thing we did is, since at Primal we build clients and we run services, so we create our own feeds as well. We decided that every feed that we create is we're going to publish to the feed marketplace as well. So and we've done that, and we're going to continue doing that. We're preparing some very interesting feeds in the coming weeks. So be on the lookout for that. What's nice is that we can improve or add value to the entire Nostr protocol by publishing a new feed. It becomes available in Primal, but it also becomes available in any Nostr client that supports a DVM feed marketplace. So, if you're using Amethyst or Coracle or Nostrudel, you have access to that. And now that we have, this capability, all of these products become better overnight, almost without any additional effort required by the developer of those clients. In fact, this fact blew our mind, like when Pablo and I were preparing to do a talk in Riga on this specific topic, and we're having dinner, and we went to the hotel room to work on the slides, and we realized that our slides were already out of date from the day before, because we were going to use the Nostrudel client to show the list of feeds, and then we went to the client and we realized, oh, there's another feed. Nostrudel just got better while we were at dinner, and the developer of Nostrudel, Hazard, was with us. So we were all having dinner, and his product got better because he supported feed marketplace at that point. So it was one of those like mind blown moments. And this is just the beginning.
That dinner, right?
Yeah, you were there, exactly. Yeah.
Shout out Miljan. He paid for dinner that night.
I sure did. Yeah, that was
That's
crazy. It kind of it was one of those moments where you realize that it's the openness of the protocol that's going to make Nostr win. I don't think it's necessarily censorship resistance and user sovereignty and all those things. Like, they are extremely important, of course. That's like the foundation and the core user base of the protocol. Basically, everyone on Nostr today cares about that a lot. The general public doesn't necessarily yet, anyway, but they do care about high quality content and high quality apps. And we're inevitably going to have those things because of the openness of the protocol. So you can't help but be bullish about this.
I mean, it's basically this open, verifiable API for the world. You can just build on it without permission. No one can stop you. The sky's the limit. And then you get all these other benefits on top of it that almost become like side effects. But I mean, I think that's why we've seen such a viral, organic, growing developer community on Nostr, is because everywhere else you look, you're basically building on quicksand. But with Nostr, you're building on this incredibly strong open API, this strong foundation. I just want to, this is another example, by the way, of just packaging all this stuff into Primal 2.0 that I feel like people don't appreciate the power that is available here. Like, you can, if you use TikTok, like, the CCP chooses your algorithm. If you use Instagram or Facebook, Zuck chooses the algorithm. If you use X, Elon chooses the algorithm. If you use Nostr, you can choose a million different algorithms. You can choose no algorithm. You can create your own algorithm that other people can choose it. and it doesn't matter which app you use. You have it, as long as the app supports these feed marketplaces, you can use it in any app. You can switch between apps, and you'll get that same feed that you would get otherwise. That is mind blowing. That is something that feels almost impossible to overstate, and it's going to take people some time before, because it's a paradigm shift, right? It's a complete fundamentally changes how you view, discover content, interact with content on the internet, and it like breaks people's brains a little bit. They just don't even think that's possible.
I agree, it's magical. And another aspect of the feed marketplace that it's very exciting to me is that it's extremely easy to explain.
Right.
You can convey this message in 2 words: feed marketplace, and people will basically know what you mean. And it's such a crisp message that you can contrast this against all the other closed networks. And you can say, well, Twitter doesn't have and can't ever have a feed marketplace. Blue Sky, you guys are supposedly an open protocol. Where is your feed marketplace? It's such a simple, crisp message where you get this fundamental feature of delivering user agency. You get to pick your algorithm that only Nostr has, and as far as I can tell, only Nostr can have. It's wild.
The one, I kind of agree. It's a good name, but when I hear feed marketplace, usually when I go to a marketplace, I have to pay money for things. And so as it stands right now, all these feeds are just available for free. It's you choose your own adventure for free. Are there going to be paid feeds as well? Is that part of the spec?
That's definitely part of the spec, and we are contemplating some feeds at Primal that might be premium only feeds. So we'll strive to publish most feeds as free feeds, because at this stage of the game, we really want everyone to be able to, as many people as possible to enjoy as many features as we can deliver. But it might be interesting, some of specialized feeds, some feeds that maybe are more compute intensive. We already have the technology. This can be rolled out easily, where those feeds would be available to Primal Premium users only. And then you get a situation where you might get like a subset of our user base who necessarily don't find Primal clients to be their kind of preferred client of choice. They might want to use maybe Amethyst on Android or so forth, but they might want to use our premium feeds. There might be some users out there who would be willing to pay for some features like that and still use them outside of the Primal clients.
Right.
It's crazy that we already have users of Primal who are not using Primal clients.
Right. That's fascinating. It should be interesting to see how that market develops. Okay, next, the Explore tab. Cool. What is it?
Right. So it's another kind of top level tab in Primal 2.0, just like Reads tab. And the whole idea behind it was to make Nostr content and user discovery easier. And it's still early days, but currently it has several tabs. The default tab is the feed marketplace itself, which I think is appropriate, because like if you want to explore, probably a good place to start is to look at all the feeds that people have created out there.
Right.
So that's the first tab, and then you can swipe over to the People tab, which will essentially show accounts you don't follow that have gotten some level of engagement lately, that have gotten that the follow number delta is significant enough to show on that list. So people who
it's people I don't follow that maybe I should be following.
We're not as smart yet to know enough about you based on your interests or whatever to tell you who you should be following, or man people there. We're hoping to get there in the next release where, during onboarding, you do specify the interests there, and we can publish that event to the Nostr relays so that other clients can utilize that in a way that doesn't dox you. So we can encrypt that. We're looking at that now. We can encrypt that data and make each client aware of it, who can kind of decrypt this and use it to do smart things, that relate to your interests. So it would be nice. We already have kind of follow recommendations based on the categories of content that you're interested in. During sign up, we could, as that list expands, we could be smarter about it in the Explore People tab to give you more relevant results. We're not there yet. So the way it currently works is we list people you don't follow who have gotten a lot of new follows lately. And it seems to work quite well, because when there's a new account or a lot of people follow them or something, like there's maybe some drama around an account, or an account is not worthy for whatever reason, they tend to pop up on that list. And in my own usage of this feature, it kind of, every time I went to that tab, there was something interesting for me to see, and I ended up following a few people. So this is one of the common kind of original critiques of Nostr dating a few months back, where people say, oh, it's impossible to find people, or, it's hard to figure out who to follow and so forth. So this tab of the Explore section is kind of meant to improve that aspect of Nostr.
Makes sense.
Then the following tab is basically top zaps, the global top zaps. I forgot if we're doing it based on the last 24 hours or 48 hours. We should really label that so people know why these things are showing up there. But essentially, we just...
tab. It's my favorite tab.
Yeah? Tell me about it.
I mean, people should zap more. Be the change you want to see in the world. I just love scroll. It kind of just knocks anyone who's like, no one uses Nostr. Just go to the Zaps tab and you just see generational wealth being transferred. Just like freedom money being sent between strangers on the internet. Just like knocks you right off on your ass.
I agree. It's it really gives visibility to the zapper, gives visibility to the person who got zapped, and the content they created that got zapped. So all of those three things get surfaced to the top. So you can look up those profiles, you can look at, or you can go to the note or article that was zapped. So it's a good discovery tool in all of those dimensions. And it does promote zapping, doesn't it? It makes that like a much more visible. And we made sure in our web app that you can link directly to any of these tabs. So any of the tabs in the Explore section, if you go to primal.net/explore and then you click on, let's say, top zaps or zaps, you can share that link and it will like open the appropriate tab when you
Awesome.
when the page loads.
Okay, and so I think the Zap features, I mean, and from a discovery point of view, right, like a great article, right, is if it's getting zapped 100,000 sats, that's $94 currently. Like, it's probably a pretty good article. Like, you should check it out.
Yeah.
Makes a lot of sense to me. What are your thoughts on people gaming that? Because it will
people gonna game that.
Yeah.
This is going to be gamed. We'll have to kind of fight this fight as we go.
Okay. There's going to be
in the meantime,
whack-a-mole?
maybe we'll see. But in the meantime, we're providing high quality signal for people.
Got it.
And we'll see how it goes from there. Yeah, it's going to get wild, I'm sure.
I mean, like, the low IQ way of handling it, like the left curve way of handling it, is like, if you see someone that's routinely gaming it, you just blacklist that NPub. I mean, it's not an ideal situation.
No, I mean, you can also game it in a way that you get someone else in trouble, maybe, or we'll see. Like, the thing is with
Right,
the
because it's the
receiver.
receiver. The receiver is the one that's sending out the receipt, right?
Right, exactly. So the receiver has to be in on it. So it's sort of
Everyone else is trusting the receiver. When you if you open Primal and it says, "I've received a 5,000 sat zap," you're trusting me that I actually received the 5,000 sat zap. You're not trusting the sender.
to be more precise, you're trusting the wallet service that the receiver is using. That because that
Right.
service is creating the receipt and publishing it. So
Unless they're
we
using their own server, but yeah, which most are.
exactly. So then you can get into the reputation of different wallet services, etc., etc. So, you know,
Oh, fair enough.
there are ways to deal with this, and
Okay.
we are I think we're still in the fuck around and find out stage of Nostr, and this really kind of applies to everything we covered today. Like some of our friends were very skeptical about launching the premium tier so early, quote unquote, right? And I think it's true that the Nostr user base is so small that these probably won't amount to some significant revenues at this point. But we need to start. We need to start experimenting with business models like this and learning what works, and kind of growing from there, right? And I actually have a pretty good feeling about it based on how it's going so far.
I love that it's all out in the open too. It's just like many different people around the world just building out in the open and just seeing what works, seeing what doesn't work, and we iterate over time. We'll figure it out. So I guess there's one more tab, right? What is it? The media. Oh, there's two more tabs. What's the deal with the media tab?
So the media tab basically lists. It's kind of like a Instagram type UI where we show thumbnails of either images or videos that have been posted, and we apply some sort of logic in terms of content scores, like how popular they are, and when it comes to other users engaging with it. That's the sort mechanism we use there. I think it's the previous either 24 or 48 hours that we take into account there, so it should be fairly fresh when you go there. In fact, if you pull to refresh that screen, you're likely to see new stuff every time.
But it's not like an endless scroll, right? I'm looking at it right now. It's like 12.
At some point it will end, but yeah, because we yeah, exactly. So we don't go back in time infinitely. It's kind of
so they're
limited.
supposed to be like trending. It's like trending media, right? Or no?
You can think of it that way, although we don't order it by content score like we do, let's say, on the trending feed. If you're above a certain kind of content score threshold, I think we order it by time, so new stuff shows up at the top. Honestly, it's been a while since I looked at that, so I don't know exactly.
Well, anyway, it's a step in the right direction. I think as a protocol, we need to do a better job providing things for the Instagram types, right? Like the media consumer types. I mean, Pablo just released his own Instagram specific type of client called Olas. But we'll get there. We'll get there. But that's a step in the right direction. And then we have topics. What is topics?
So topics is simply a list of essentially hashtags that are being used in short form notes based on kind of their frequency of use. So you'll see things like Nostr, Bitcoin, what's new, whatever is topical at any given time should bubble up to the top if people are using that hashtag a lot. And then you can click on any of those topics and it will give you search results based on that hashtag. So if you've used Primal before, Primal 1.x, that screen was the entirety of the Explore screen before. And it was pretty useless. Even the way we had implemented the kind of the logic for those, for coming up with the list of topics there and ordering that wasn't that great. So we've improved on that. and so it should be more useful now. But the entire Explore section, of course, is much more versatile.
Makes sense. Yeah, so the whole Explore tab is exactly what you would think it is. It's meant to aid discovery, and things you wouldn't see otherwise. I see Pseudo Carlos with a very teeny zap of 21 sats asking why not allow users to choose sorting for media. I assume this is, it's just an iterative process. It's not. I'm like, what? Like, we could use the same things as like with the feed marketplace, but with media. There's no reason not to.
You can. So there's the advanced search. So you can open the advanced search. You can say search images or search
Right.
videos, and then you can search your sort order. You can set filters any way you like in terms of content score or number of zaps and so forth. You can have all these settings that you can optionally set and create the feed that you want to see,
And then you can
save that
just
feed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What about so like we're talking about the feed marketplace stuff. Is Primal at some point in the future going to allow people to then like publish a feed, like actually allow other people to subscribe to it?
So currently, the only way to publish a feed into the feed marketplace is to be a developer and create a DVM feed. And when you do that, and when you publish the appropriate Nostr event, your feed will show up in the Primal feed marketplace. And maybe I'll kind of give a bit more info on that. So we have a backend service that checks these, like that pings all of these custom feeds. So it to check for their health. So if a feed doesn't return any results, if it's unavailable for a number of hours, then we remove it automatically from the list. So you're not likely as a user to encounter dead feeds there. That kind of it self heals, and then if the feed comes back online, we will bring it back up. So just so you know how that works. And to answer your question, Matt, it's the logical next step. So currently, you need to be a developer to create a DVM feed,
Right?
And it shows up there, so it's already a massive step. But really, what we should make possible and easy to do is to create a custom feed by like any user and then publish that feed to the feed marketplace. I think there might be like some really interesting feeds that are created by users. In addition to these kind of algorithmic kind of search-based feeds, I think we should also support curation-based feeds where you as a user can provide curation services. I think this is going to be massive. And then you may have a really good taste in science fiction or something like that. Then you create a feed of science fiction long form reads that's like super high signal, and so you can apply this to any category, cooking or whatever.
Right.
And we'll have users who specialize in certain kind of categories like that and create extremely high quality, kind of high signal content, which I think eventually they should be able to monetize as well.
I love that. So that might be a premium feature because it needs to be hosted.
We'll think this through. If it's possible to do it cost effectively without it being a premium feature, it'd be nice to expose this capability to everyone.
Awesome. Okay, the last piece I have on my non-existent list is the wallet. So Primal is, I think, unique in Nostr that it has an integrated wallet.
No, sorry to cut you off.
No, always.
There was a product that launched an integrated wallet prior to us. The name Current app. They were the first ones to kind of integrate a wallet. It was also a custodial wallet, not in a sort of centerpiece type of manner as we did, but they definitely were ahead of us there, and they managed to get it through the App Store first. So I remember seeing this and saying, "Oh, this is possible. Let's see what we can do." So other than that, I'm
I mean,
trying
that
to
doesn't
think.
really matter. How do you think about the integrated wallet? Because this is like one of the big people bring it up all the time, the integrated
Right.
wallet,
Right.
both on the positive and the negative side. How do you think about it as the actual founder and CEO and the guy focused on shipping the shit?
So the integrated wallet is a flagship feature of Primal. We definitely take the built-in wallet very seriously, to the extent that we kind of look at the wallet and the social media clients as kind of equal parts being a part of Primal. They're both full-time jobs. Neither is a part-time job, and we want to make the wallet itself as capable and as kind of easy to use as we can. And so far, we are getting a lot of good feedback about the wallet in terms of its usability. Many hardcore Bitcoiners actually tell me that they use it as a daily driver because it just works for them.
Right.
It's sort of like a replacement for Wallet of Satoshi, which, by the way, when we assess the kind of technology landscape and we're trying to pick the right way to implement the built-in wallet, that market signal that was being sent out there, that the success of Wallet of Satoshi was kind of very clear in terms of what the majority of the users wanted out there. And since we wanted the wallet to be very approachable by non-technical people, we wanted the wallet to just work out of the box. It was not really possible to build a self-custodial Lightning solution that was very easy to use and kind of functional from the get-go. So we decided to go with a custodial wallet, and we decided to partner with Strike to host the wallet backend, so that we are compliant and that we have like a licensed custodian for these funds. We don't just YOLO into custodying people's Bitcoin. And the downside of this approach, of course, is that we had to implement KYC Lite to be compliant and not have to remove the product off the market, maybe a month or two after we launch it. So that was my assessment about the state of the art back almost 2 years ago, a year and a half ago, when we started considering the wallet. Things have evolved since then. So eCash is now very interesting, and especially Cashew. The Cashew protocol is really picking up, and there's a lot of it's like the whole ecosystem that's developing around Cashew is quite exciting, both in terms of the development of the core protocol and the apps built on top of it, and then mints that are getting stood up. So it would be great. I would love to have the option for Primal users to not use the compliant kind of custodial solution that we have now with Strike. I imagine that still, like, the majority of the users might go that way, but it'd be nice to have the option to maybe somewhere like like behind the developer flag or something like that, where users can say, no, I want actually better privacy here, and I want to use a Cashew wallet. And what the whole scheme that Pablo came up with for Nutsack, where you kind of store your Cashew tokens on relays in an encrypted manner, I think that's excellent for this use case. So I can see us building something like that in the future when we think we're ready, and the Nostr and the sort of Cashew ecosystem kind of grows a little bit more. It would be that would be a great addition to Primal, I think.
Yeah, I love that. Basically, just choose your own mint. You choose a mint in the back end. Then Strike is no longer your custodian. Primal is no longer your wallet partner. And then you can still just as easily zap. Because, I mean, on the positive side, it's the most seamless zap experience. Like, just one-click zap. long hold to send a custom amount. It's just clean. It works incredibly well because it's integrated. But obviously, it sucks to take user information and tie that user information to social activity.
Yeah, agreed. We don't love it. And when it comes to UX too, there's also this whole notion of, with the Primal custodial solution, currently we guarantee that your funds will be, we're not going to rug you, Stripe's not going to rug you. We guarantee that. We can't make those guarantees with Cashew, right? Because we're not going to run a Cashew mint.
Right, they're going to use some other custodian.
Exactly.
The cool part about Cashew is that it's an interoperable protocol where you can choose your own custodian and choose your own front end.
Exactly, and have perfect privacy pretty much on the protocol. So this is why I kind of consider this to be like a power user feature, where you will be behind some sort of a, yes, I understand, I'm responsible for choosing my mints, and I'm not going to hold Primal accountable if I get rugged by this other mint. All these types of things that might be super weird to normie users to kind of be subjected to. For power users who understand what's going on, that would be quite welcome. And honestly, that's the type of product I would like to use. So it does make sense to have this capability eventually in Primal.
And I mean, I think it's worth noting that users right now, you don't have to use the Primal wallet. You can use Primal and just completely ignore the integrated wallet exists. You can set any Lightning address to receive, right? So like right now, all these apps we see on screen are coming to my npub.cash wallet, my eCash wallet. And then on Android, you actually have Nostr Wallet Connect support. So you can actually send zaps in-app with a click without using the integrated wallet. Why doesn't, I know the answer here, but why doesn't Nostr Wallet Connect exist for iOS users right now, where they could use an external wallet easily for sending zaps?
Yeah, since the built-in custodial wallet, like the compliant custodial wallet, isn't a perfect fit for everyone out there, we decided right from the get-go to implement the option to connect to an external wallet. And we implemented this across the entire Primal stack. So in Android, you can use Nostr Wallet Connect to connect to a wallet that supports that feature. That's been available on Android from day one. On the web app, you also can use a third-party extension that has its own built-in wallet that's not a Primal wallet, and kind of zap that way. And we also implemented Nostr Wallet Connect on iOS. However, we couldn't get that through App Store review. I still don't understand why, to be honest. And Apple is a lot of times just like a black box.
Yeah.
When they reject you, a lot of times you don't understand exactly why they rejected you, and when they accept your submission, you don't know why they accepted it sometimes too. You just kind of go with the flow. But yeah, that's the summary. We implemented this across the entire stack. We couldn't roll it out on iOS.
Got it. Yep, that makes sense. At the end, I mean, building anything in the Apple walled garden ecosystem is a exhausting, frustrating experience. I think many developers can relate. Okay, so I want to move to high-level Nostr thoughts. How do you think about the current level of Nostr adoption, where we are in Nostr's growth? What do you think about going forward from here? Where do we stand?
And so you can look at Nostr adoption in two different ways. You can look at it as user adoption, how many users we have, how many active users, and so forth. And you can look at it from the developer adoption lens. When it comes to developer adoption, we're absolutely crushing it. I'm not aware of any competing network that can be in the same ballpark even as us on Nostr. There's so many projects. There's so much being built. Applications, services are being stood up, and so forth. So that's extremely bullish, because the old adage goes, if you want to know what future holds, just look at what all the developers are doing in their spare time. And they're all building Nostr apps. When it comes to user adoption, it's a bit of a different story. We don't have big numbers in terms of absolute user kind of counts. Probably a couple of 100,000 relatively active humans are on Nostr. There is a subset of that group that's like extremely active and passionate and so forth. And this is something you want to see at the early stage of any sort of product adoption, and especially when it comes to a protocol. This like extremely passionate user base.
The ride or dies.
The ride or dies are here, and they're not going anywhere. So that's excellent to see. And then people like to, we often hear some criticism in comparisons to let's say Blue Sky. Recently we had like a lot of people sign up to Blue Sky, and the people are, millions of people are signing up to Blue Sky in a week, compared to much smaller numbers on Nostr. And people ask why this is happening. And this is just such a wrong comparison. It's literally like comparing Venmo and Bitcoin. Yep. Well, one is a company and the other one is a protocol that's being stood up. And when you look at the types of people and the profile of the users on Nostr, like the couple 100,000 people I mentioned, well, we all hold our Nostr keys. And Nostr is the only protocol, the only network where this is the case. So there's no second best. There's only Nostr. If we're looking at bootstrapping a brand new self-sovereign protocol for the internet, there's only Nostr. And the trajectory is, to me, it looks exactly like the way I would expect it to look at this early stage. It's like you said, the ride or dies. It's the type of people who are not going away, and a ton of developers building interesting things. So it's up to us developers to make the UX better, to create the better tools. We really work around the clock. There's not a lot of time off the Nostr developers take. We're building as fast as we can. And I'm hoping the results are visible there, because for people who are taking kind of multiple touch points within Nostr, with months in between, I'm hoping that it is very evident that the UX and the services around it are getting much more sophisticated with every subsequent touch point. So we need to do that. And I think we already are getting to the point where you no longer need to squint to see some of these things, to see all of these different content types being stood up on Nostr, and new breeds of applications that are kind of merging and kind of bringing together these different content types into new user experiences that are starting to be better than the legacy UX that's being offered out there. I like to think that, merging microblogging, short form feeds with long form content within the same app, the way we've done it at Primal, and merging a wallet into the whole UX there, we're starting to, in some aspects, overtake the feature set and the UX that's available in legacy platforms. And this is just the beginning. We've been at it for almost 2 years at Primal. We started coding in January 23. It feels like we've barely begun. And we're definitely up against companies that have been around for 10 plus years with multi-billion-dollar budgets. But already in some aspects, we as in Nostr applications are starting to look better. We have better UX around this kind of textual content. We have better search, and there's still more work to do, I think, when it comes to improving the UX even more. Like I'd like to reach Instagram level kind of polish and performance in Primal apps. So there's a lot more that we need to do. But you can't help but be bullish about the trajectory. So we know the apps and like products are rapidly getting better. We're getting more content creators interested because they see this UX and they like their content to appear there. And then we're getting to the point where they can recommend Nostr apps to their audiences with a straight face, right? You can tell people, okay, follow me on Primal or find me on Primal, and it's a pretty high chance they'll be able to download the app, get signed up, and get going. So in summary, I'm bullish about where things are going.
Very well said. I mean, I think, well, we've made massive progress. It's obvious, and there's still a lot of work to be done. And I tend to agree with you that most people will not come for censorship resistance or verifiability or permissionlessness. At its core, they will come because the UX is way better, and the UX will be way better because of those key foundational elements. So they're definitely interconnected. There's also something, where you kind of have to flip on your head how you kind of measure these things with an open protocol, which is, for example, user numbers. Nostr is an open, transparent network. Anyone can make relatively verifiable calculations on what they think user numbers are. If you're trying to figure out how many users of Telegram exist or how many users of X exist, you have to just blindly trust Pavel Durov or Elon Musk on how many users they say there are. Like there's zero way that you can verify it.
Or Blue Sky.
Or Blue Sky. And there's another piece there where, these things are walled gardens for the most part. I think Blue Sky you can view without an account decently well. And TikTok you can too, because CCP wants as many eyeballs as possible. But Instagram, Reddit, Telegram, Twitter, X, you can't interact with that content unless you have an account. And there's been many studies that most people, the way they interact with this stuff is they're lurkers. They rarely engage and they're just viewing. So from that perspective, I like to say that in terms of Nostr users, we have the entire internet connected population, 5 billion plus people, because they can just click a Primal link or an NJump link, and they can just view the content, everyone who replied, everyone who quoted it, without ever having an account. Those people will never be measured, period. And then the last piece is daily active users itself is a kind of a predatory mind frame to view these things. I mean, it's literally like you're measuring addiction. It's an addiction metric. It'd be like calling heroin users daily active users. How many daily active users do we have of this drug or that drug? But in big tech, like it's become the normal metric, the normal KPI that people use to measure it. So I would push people back to, like, we want people ideally, and there will be plenty of people addicted to Nostr and Nostr apps, because it's app developers will try and make things more addictive in a lot of situations. But I would push us as a community to strive for experiences that could be healthier for users, that could be very useful for users, where they don't necessarily have to check it every day or scroll for 9 hours, and 10 hours and try and get those scroll numbers up, because the incentives can be built in a way where you're not monetizing that attention, where you're not monetizing surveillance data, you're not monetizing these different dystopian big tech surveillance, corporate surveillance ad models. So as a result, you don't necessarily need users to be addicted in order for everyone to win. So there's a lot of different things at play here. And I know people tend to get frustrated when they see like the most conservative user number metrics, that we see floated around. And I think a lot of times it does a little bit more harm than good. It doesn't matter, I think, in the big scheme of things. But it does discourage people to a degree. And there's different elements here that make it more challenging as an open protocol in terms of that initial push of users because the community does care so much. And I saw this with Bitcoin growing up. For instance, with Bitcoin, it's way easier to onboard someone if you just recommend them a single wallet, right? If you say, go use a cold card. But people feel it's an open protocol and you have a lot of choice. So people want to give you like 10 different recommendations, and then they give you 10 different recommendations. And then as a result, the friction and overwhelmness in your head, you don't end up actually using something. And I think we'll start to see that with Nostr too, as it grows. Like people will just be like, follow me on Damus, download Damus, or follow me on Primal, download Primal. And then the user will incidentally get all the knock-on benefits. Like if you have any complaints, at the end of the day, like I see some comments in there gaslighting us a little bit in the live chat. And at the end of the day, the beauty of Nostr and why you can never compare it to the decisions that are made on closed big tech is that at the end of the day, if you don't like a decision that Primal makes, you can just go use another client. If you don't like a decision that Vitter makes with Amethyst, you can go use another client and you lose nothing. You have the freedom of choice, which none of them could ever provide. Okay, that was my long rant for the day. Miljan, it's been an absolute pleasure as always. I don't want to keep you from integrating Zapstream and Primal. I know you're going to immediately go and integrate live video streaming directly into the client. So we'll have it in 2 weeks. Do you have any final thoughts before we wrap?
Sure. Thanks for having me. Yeah, who needs sleep? Let's go integrate more stuff. Yeah, the final thoughts, I'll just riff of what you just mentioned here. Like the daily active user metric is really not that relevant, let's say, for a company like Primal anymore, because our goal is not to create engagement. We don't care if you spend 5 minutes or 5 hours on Primal. It doesn't. What we care about is how many users found Primal useful enough to pay for the premium subscription. That's really, like, when you look at our incentives, it's about making the product useful and providing high quality signal and great tools to our users. If we do a good job, we get paid. It's irrelevant whether we make somebody doom scroll for 5 hours if we are not able to do those things. So aligning these incentives is, I think, one of the keys here, and I'm super excited that we are taking this path.
Love it. Miljan, thank you again for joining us. I appreciate you. Keep crushing it. And huge shout out to the freaks who continue to support the show, whether that's through Podcasting 2.0 apps or a ride or die in the live chat. Dispatch has no sponsors or ads, so you guys are what keeps the show going. So thank you for joining me. Thank you for joining Miljan. Miljan, keep crushing it. And hopefully I'll have you on soon again. Cheers. Stay on the type chats. There we go. Always.
Our world is chaotic, but life found its way by channeling energy to bring order to chaos. It is in our nature to seek signals amongst noise, because it is through communication and exchange that we evolve beyond the darkness of chaos into the dawn of civilization. Our evolution thrives in exchange of all the info we try to convey. They flow through to the marketplace and form the signals to regulate how we coordinate where things need to be. Price speaks, so we learn to compete. This drives us to efficiently shape the world with our voice. Now let the market speak. So we build, we sow, we trade, we grow to meet our wants and needs. We specialize and drive from the mind our creations into reality. We make progress in our process to get more for less, advancing society. We brought forth dawn of the age of technology that harnessed the energy to reach prosperity. Our money embodies the power to reap what we sow, so the market becomes a channel for our collective energy to flow. When value is traded for value, we are aligned, and so we evolve. This is how, amidst uncertainty, life continues to grow. But the dawn of tech gave rise to light-speed information exchange. So to transact fast, we further abstract money from energy constraints and became more aligned on a few large entities to coordinate trade, concentrating the power, resources, and authority to create more and more of our money, distorting its signals, eroding its worth, and throwing us back into the darkness of chaos. When we destroy the mechanism of money, we destroy our ability to navigate through uncertainty. And when we can't trade value freely and directly, we must trust the few to govern the many. What happens when all our means center around an authority? Complexity builds, now coordination relies on conformity. Observe our thoughts to censor dissent and coerce our actions. Can there be true innovation when there's no freedom of expression? What happens to our voice, the ones that shape social discourse? Now whose ideas gets created and which problems get solved? If our progress depends on hearing many sides to resolve, then why would we suppress the voice that shapes how humanity evolves? When we cut off the perspectives that make up society, we lose sight of the truth that forms our entire reality. Each person's contribution builds up our resiliency. Did we forget these differences are what strengthens humanity? When communication breaks, our words turn to silence. Our acts become violent and the world is divided amongst darkness. Truth is twisted by our pain and our bias, eroding the common ground, making us more and more fragile. To navigate uncertainty, we must solve for robustness. So everything gets tried and tested by various efforts until we discover the system that best coordinates us, mirrors life's process of channeling energy to create signal from chaos. In the era of technology, we transform energy into computational power to process the noise of free markets into structured order. And just by looking at numbers, we can derive how much power is required to reduce chaos and inscribe a flow of value for all to verify that our transactions happened in line with shared rules. We don't need to seek trust when we can see proof. It is real-time consensus that aligns us to evolve. This is how, amidst uncertainty, our lives continue to grow when we uphold our own rules, we preserve our own worth, and defend our own voice, which lets the true market emerge. The strength of the design lies in each of our participation, since we are the nodes that channel our energy end to end. As we claim responsibility to uphold our own rights, we radiate the power that brings our truth into light. And when that dawn of light touches all parts of the globe, and it ripples throughout society, and it returns us the hope that becomes the power that sparks humanity to thrive, that same power that fuels the creation of the mind. And when our mind and our money are truly set free and they transcend the limits of past boundaries, now knowing becomes owning and ideas become wealth. What happens now? We can all push to expand the edges of our existence. It is through evolution when things are the hardest. As we head for the light, we have to push through the darkness. It is in these moments we do what we do best. We take the chaos and the darkness and use our power to create. It is in these moments when we're all in alignment and our freedom of difference ascends us to a higher